Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the November 19th, 2021 lunar eclipse in Taurus, part 2 of 2. Now, I want to talk about as far as the house that this falls in one's natal chart. Let's say if it falls in the first or sixth house in the chart, it could be a revelation or unveiling of perhaps could be a serious Taurus health-related issue. It could be something possibly serious with the neck, throat, thyroid, or even the esophagus. It could be something that impacts the vocal cords or voice, because that is more, that of course is connected with Taurus, and it can be, again, something that could be more significant in contrast to this happening on, say, a regular full moon or supermoon. It's also important to look at the aspects this makes to points in your chart, as this, of course, could impact the delineation and interpretation. Now, this is going to make an opposition to my natal Neptune and Scorpio in the 7th house. Now, this could manifest in the realization, which is the full moon, lunar eclipse, of generating money, which is Taurus, of course, and understanding the physical energy and vitality needed to do this, which is the 1st house. Now, and opposing, perhaps getting compassionate, which is Neptune, support, which is Scorpio, from others, which is the 7th house. Now, it may signify that I may be going away from that altruistic support and be more cognizant of having to make money through my own means, and it might be a little tug of war I may be going through, since we are talking about an opposition. Now, another thing is, it's also important to look at the electional aspects this makes, as this could impact the delineation and interpretation. Now, this is going to make a sextile to Neptune and Pisces. This can give inspiration, more inspiration and idealism and hope, and perhaps doing what is connected with the lunar eclipse, or just as far as what one is aware of what can be done, and being more inspired to go about it and take care of it, whether it's a money-making endeavor, some job, dealing, somebody, that might be, overly greedy, avaricious, or even materialistic, anything that could be connected with this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. Now, also, too, the sextile to Pluto can manifest in something perhaps monetary related, connected. It could be connected with materialism, or it's money. It could be money that was hidden or concealed. It could be something with greed or avarice, or something that's unveiled. It could be money related due to deep research, investigation, and probing, and the fact having the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus done with a lot of patience and persistence. Now, it can be something too in the fact that you're going to have the Pluto in Capricorn. Though it's generational, it may have been done also with consistency, being methodical, and also through laborious effort. Now, the lunar eclipse is going to fall at 27 degrees Taurus. As far as Sabian symbols go, this could reflect becoming cognizant, perhaps of being delusional and thinking you may have had more credentials for like a job position than you really do. It could be awareness of having to work laboriously in order, or perhaps learning a trade, starting perhaps at a lower level position somewhere and work your way up to the top methodically. Now, it may also manifest in that understanding of taking others' benevolence and kindness for granted, and it may become, you might become complacent as a result, and there may be awareness of it at this time. There may be no other choice at this point in time for many to become more self-sufficient and self-reliant. This is also going to be close to the fixed star algal degree. Now, this can suggest perhaps becoming more aware, more cognizant of something you've been overly obsessed and fixated with. Now, algol, as many of you may know, is connected with losing one's head. Now, it generally is not going to mean literal beheadings, but what it can simply mean is just going overboard with something, being overly fixated or obsessed with something. Now, I would not be surprised, though, if this transit might manifest in some revelation or unveiling of perhaps more literal beheadings that might be taking place than we were previously aware of, and what we may have expected. Now, we'll look and see what else is going on with this. Just bear with me, people. Now, it's also, this could be a time, too, when, looking at this, this is going to be, the fact that it's by this fixed star algo could also be a somewhat malevolent degree, so you really need to be careful at this time when dealing with people. And the thing about this is, again, this is going to be a very significant, I think, really significant transit. Now, the thing about this is, it can be, other transits in the natal chart can be intensified and amplified because they're taking place at the same time as the lunar eclipse. Now, transit Sun in Scorpio will conjoin my natal Neptune in Scorpio in the 7th house. Now, this may manifest in shining the light, so to speak, on somebody that may be deceptive or duplicitous, which is Neptune, and even manipulative, which is Scorpio. And somebody that I may have seen as a significant friend, because that's the 7th house is connected with our relationships, which can include important friendships. Now, another way this transit may be expressed for me is that it could put a strong focus and attention, which is the Sun, on relentless, which is Scorpio, sacrificing, which is Neptune, for others in general, and important friendships, which is the 7th house. Now, it's also, I'm going to have another transit Jupiter in Aquarius is going to be squaring my natal Taurus ascendant at this time. And of course, these transits are, that could be intensified and amplified because it's taking place at the same time as the lunar eclipse. And I need to be careful not to be over enthusiastic and optimistic, overdoing something with the astrology endeavor as an example. And it might even be a little taxing on the physical body, since it's squaring again the Taurus ascendant. And Taurus ascendant does not really want to move too much. It's very stable, stolid, it's very steady. And then you have the Jupiter in Aquarius squaring it. It could be an enlargement of progression, and we're trying to move forward, so there is a little bit of a conflict there as well. And the thing about this is, now you have to look at this as well, is that you're going to have other electional transits are going to be intensified because they are taking place at the same time of this lunar eclipse. Now, transit South Node in Sagittarius will be conjoining the Sun in Scorpio at the time of the eclipse. Now, at this time, many may be going away from a dominant male authority figure, which is the Sun. It could be a dominant male in one's life, or an authority figure which may have been very controlling, power-driven, manipulative, which is Scorpio, and even a tendency to be bitter or jealous, which is Scorpio as well. This may tie into being more cognizant, which is the full moon, of starting something new that is connected with your finances, and it may even be expressing more self-reliance in them. Now, in some instances, too, this may manifest in the departure of a prominent female in one's life. So this could be, in some cases, it could be a Taurus sun, moon, or ascendant person, or one that simply embodies those characteristics. Now, it may have been someone that was very loyal, steadfast, and persistent. It may also be somebody that may have been overly, again, greedy, avaricious, materialistic, possessive. And sometimes endings, and remember, endings and culminations can actually be blessings in disguise. Endings and conclusions of things can often signify new beginnings. Now, Another thing too about lunar eclipses, I believe they can be serendipitous. Something that may initially have been perceived as negative may actually manifest or translate into something auspicious. Now, for example, let's say this lunar eclipse expresses itself for someone as the ending of a money-making endeavor. Now, let's say the person is unexpectedly let go from their job. Upon leaving the place of business at some point, the person finds a business card, and the person calls the number on it, and it leads to a connection with that company. Now, another example, let's say someone has this transit in their 8th house, right? Now, let's say the person, again, another example, being let go from something that appeared to have stability, which is Taurus, perhaps in insurance as an example. 8th house could be connected with an insurance field. Now, and then sometime later that day, the person, sees somebody that appears unconscious and performs CPR on the person. The person is revived and gains consciousness. Somebody takes notice of this and sees that this person was downright unflappable, which is Taurus, in a crisis, which is 8th house situation. It leads to a position as an EMT at some point, as another example. And again, endings may often be about new beginnings, and it may just be something that's meant to be at the time when you have this lunar eclipse. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.